Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is user guide video for final sit. This is part 1 of the guide and I expect total 3 parts. This part will cover information pages. Second part will cover inverter settings. And the final will be about SIT settings. I am using SIT for more than 3 months now. Seems stable, though I am not doing data logging. I am using only one device. We'll start data logging with multiple devices shortly. Let's start with main display page. You will notice large tile display. This is mainly designed for mobile phone screen. It will look like this on your phone. You can use your tab or PC. But generally phone is accessible, so that's got priority. Let's talk about the data before us. The first tile with power icon shows grid power usage in watts. It's almost 2000 hours. Sun is down, I am only using grid power. I don't have big battery backup. I only use batteries if there is grid power failure. The third tile represents solar and battery output. The tile with house icon shows total consumption. On battery tiles, V shows battery volts. I have 24-volt system, so my battery is fully charged. You may have noticed that tiles are of 2 colors. Red and green. Red means not active. Green generally means active. So solar and battery are red means no output. Next tile represents errors and it's green. Which means, no active errors, that's good. The next tile represents manual command. I will go into details of each tile shortly. Then we have tile for system information, followed by temperature and humidity numbers. This is recent addition. And working is being tested. Next tile is for inverter settings. And lastly it's SIT device setup. Let's start detailed review with first tile. The grid tile with power icon. Let's click and go to grid page. In addition to grid and total output watts. Total output is represented by house icon. We have active grid voltage and grid frequency. Next tiles represent grid rated voltage. And rated output in amperes, which is 13. These numbers are reported by inverter. The bell tile represents beep settings. When any source power like solar or grid becomes available or get disconnected, you will hear beep from the system. Green tile means beep setting is active. Let's go back to main page. The smiley sun represents solar. Let's zoom into solar details. The first tile represents output in watts, currently 0. The max solar output is 1920 watts. I have 3 kVA system, but solar output is restricted to 1920 watts. This is calculated by multiplying battery volts with max PV charging amperes of inverter. I have 3 kVA inverter, but max solar production I noticed was 1980 watts. I have over 2.6 kVA panels installed. So right now there is no solar voltage. Interestingly, on moon nights I can see some volts. With white clouds, city lights produce some volts too. In amperes show solar contribution in amperes. Next tile is charging balance. 0 means solar input max current will be max charged current. 1 means solar input max power will be sum of max charged power and load's power. The next sections represent solar production and consumption. These numbers are in Horus. Either megawatt hours or kilowatt hours. To convert from hours to watts, either kilo or mega as the case may be. You need to divide these numbers by hours. Like daily hours or monthly hours. I have printed the reading as it is for now. I wish to improve this dashboard. Once done, I will update guide on this. Meanwhile, you can notice these numbers represent today monthly, yearly, and total readings. For production and consumption. Let's go back to main page and then solar and battery. This will take me to output page. If I click on tile with house icon, I will land on output page 2. Let's understand numbers on this page. First tile shows current inverter output in watts. Max capacity of inverter in watts is also shown below. Next tile is current output in volts, rated or shown below. The next tile represents output in volt amperes. In AC current this is apparent power and more accurate than watts. In DC current volt ampere and watts are same. Maybe this is more helpful for some. The next tile is about frequency, which is 49 and rated as 50. Then we have output load in percentage. Then we have internal bus voltage, which is 408 volts. Be careful, don't open inverter. On next tile we have rated current in amperes. Working current range is 170 to 280 volts. This can be changed in settings and thus to be discussed later. Likewise, next 4 tiles show current settings relating to output priority, overload behavior, and temperature overload action. I will discuss these in detail in next video on inverter settings. My settings are restart and bypass in such cases. Let's go back and go to next tile page. This is about battery information. The first tile shows rated voltage of my batteries, which is 24. Recharge voltage is set to 22 volts. Undercurrent 21. Bulk and floating voltage is set to 27. Battery is type 2, which represents flooded battery. These are just current setting information. Details will be discussed in setting guide. Grid and maximum charging ampere are set to 10. Charge priority is 1, which means solar first. Next tile is re-discharge volts. At 24 volts, battery is ready to take up load again. Current voltage is 27. Current charging ampere is 0 as my battery is fully charged. Volts from short circuit current should be 0 unless battery problem. Discharge current is 0 ampere as battery is not in output model. Next tile shows battery voltage offset for fan. I am not sure what this represents. Steady volts while charging tile shows 0 inactive and 1 active. Charging status shows device is charged or not. Next represents charging status SCC, charging on or off. Next is charging status. This is maximum charging current that inverter supports. This help in calculating max solar output in watts. Next section is about battery equalization, which is enabled. It reverses the buildup of negative chemical effects like stratification. A condition where acid concentration is greater at the bottom of the battery. Equalizing helps to remove sulfate crystals that build up on the plates. It is recommended that batteries be equalized periodically. My settings are not ideal. Please consult manual and net for settings. My equalization is not active right now. Let's go back to main page. Both battery icons take you to same page. Let's see the errors page. Mobile view should be like this. Every error is green. This means we are good. These tiles will turn red in case of errors. Like if there is an overload or overcurrent. Let's walk through error types, so we know what errors can occur. Volt high or low, overload or current, DC volts, power limit. Inverter status, fan lock error. Few tiles are errors and few are warnings. Then we have over temperature. Inverter software failure. EEPROM error. Self-test failure. Current sensor error. Bus over or under load. Bus software failure. Please look into manuals for further details on these errors. Line failure. OPV is related to solar short circuit, I think. Then battery voltage is high or low. My inverter hangs at battery shutdown and I have to manually reset inverter. Then we have errors relating to solar panels. Some inverters take input from 2 solar panel sets at a time. The error may relate to high panel voltage, overload fault or warning, or the battery too low to charge. This is mobile phone screen view. I may improve language in next version. Let's go back to our main page. Next tile will take you to manual command. This can be helpful if your inverter support additional commands. You can test them through this page. Just type and submit. You will see response from inverter on this page too. Then we have some system information. This page needs some improvement. I may consider it later. 0 stands for disabled or inactive. 1 stands for enabled or active. This is just information page, not setting page. We have floating charge, inverter on status, dust proofing, number of inverters connected in parallel, machine number and connection topology. EEPROM version, solar battery utility priority AVTIS or not. Configuration status and firmware version. Output and charge priority timing setting if your inverter has built-in timer. Consult manual to understand 0.1.2 meaning. As I mentioned earlier, I understand these pages need to be more user-friendly. But for now, this is raw information from inverter I am displaying. I understand each digit represents an hour of day, starting with 0-100 hours. There are 4 extra digits too. So these tiles represent output and charging priority between solar, utility and battery sources. The ID of this inverter is P130. There is a serial number. CPU firmware is 41.01. You can get this as hex. This shows inverter is made for further development like SIT. Another serial, followed by date and time. Date and time are joined together. This is actual report format of inverter. Yes, I better improve display in some next version. The model is VM3 and 3000 represents maximum output in watts. Next we have internal inverter temperature report. One is very clear, that is about heat sink, which is 40. There are 4 more temperature readings. 38, 32, 37, and 30. I'm not sure what these represents. Maybe your manual can shed some light on this. I have tried to give as much data as I can extract from inverter. Let's go back. Next tile shows humidity and temperature readings. These are from additional external sensor. Updated every 3 hours and are in test phase. if I try to update more frequently. SIT becomes non-responsive on data side. Last two slides will have own guide vetoes. That's it for now.